Ukraine's anti-corruption crisis. Zelensky's risky move explained. A shocking move by Ukraine's president could unravel years of progress against corruption and hand Russia a propaganda win. Let's break this down. On July 22, Ukraine's parliament, the Verkhovna Rada, approved a law that would place the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU, and the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO, under direct presidential control. These two agencies have been the backbone of Ukraine's fight to clean up its act, investigating high-level graft and prosecuting corrupt officials. But now, instead of operating independently, they'll report directly to President Volodymyr Zelensky and his chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. And this is the part most people miss. The bill passed with overwhelming support from Zelensky's own servant of the People Party. It wasn't a rogue faction pulling the strings. It was a calculated power grab from the top. Why does this matter? Well, here's the catch. Ukraine's war effort isn't just about tanks and artillery. It's about trust. Trust from its citizens, who need to believe their leaders are fighting for a better future, and trust from Western allies, like the US and EU, who've poured billions into rebuilding the country. If the anti-corruption agencies become tools of the president, it sends a clear message. Accountability is optional when it comes to the powerful. That's a red flag for donors, and a green light for corrupt actors to double down on shady deals. But here's where. Zelensky faces mass protests over anti-corruption crackdown in Ukraine. Ukraine's EU dreams hang in the balance. Has Zelensky gone too far? In a shocking move that has left Kyiv's allies reeling, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has taken a drastic step that could potentially derail his country's bid to join the European Union. For the second night in a row, protests have erupted across Ukraine in response to Zelensky's decision to severely limit the power of anti-corruption authorities. But here's where it gets really concerning. This move may have caused irreparable damage to Ukraine's EU ambitions. The controversy began when legislation was hastily pushed through Parliament, triggering the largest outbreak of public discontent against Zelensky since Russia's full-scale invasion over 3.5 years ago. The Ukrainian leader has since pledged to introduce new legislation to address concerns over weakening the anti-graft bodies. But is it too little, too late? And this is the part most people miss. The EU has been closely monitoring Ukraine's progress in tackling corruption, and this latest move could be the final nail in the coffin. But what's really at stake here? Ukraine's accession to the EU has long been a contentious issue, with many arguing that the country's corruption problems are too deep-seated to be easily resolved. Others claim that Zelensky's actions are a necessary evil to maintain stability in a war-torn country. But one thing is certain, the Ukrainian people will not go quietly into the night. As protests continue to rage across the country, one has to wonder, has Zelensky gone too far this time? The question on everyone's mind is, what's next for Ukraine's EU bid? Will Zelensky's actions prove to be a fatal blow, or can the country still salvage its chances of joining the EU? We want to hear from you. Do you think Ukraine's corruption problems are insurmountable, or can Zelensky find a way to regain the trust of the EU and his own people? Share your thoughts in the comments below.